No, I don't think he doesn't fit into me at all.
Okay,
all right.
I know he's a legitimate hero for you.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not just that. I mean, like, I mean, Apocalypse Now was a major success. That was a smash.
But I know it was. But at the same time, it was a film that had a huge. I mean, all you got to do is watch his wife's documentary about it to know the emotional toll it took.
I know, but the film went on and made $100 million. I mean,
but that's not how he measured it. Do you think that's how he measured it? Do you think he ended up telling the story in the end?
Oh, yes. No, I do. I mean,
because a lot of people said it worked for 2/3 of the way in, and then it didn't.
Yeah, but you know what? It's funny, though, because I think at the time, you know, with the whole big build-up and everything, yeah, the whole Marlon Brando sequence is my least favorite sequence of that movie. All right? But is it a failure? No.
Okay.
All right.
De Palma and Bonfire of the Vanities.
Okay, now, well, I mean, yeah, well, the thing is, it's really funny.
I'm not suggesting these people have lost their talent.
No, no, I know you're not.
I'm looking for an example of the kind of thing that might fit.
Okay, the thing is, in the case of Bonfire of the Vanities, is the fact that, actually, I go back to Pauline Kael, because she actually said, like, something perfect with Bonfire of the Vanities in particular. She says, the thing that's so crazy about Bonfire of the Vanities is De Palma had made Bonfire of the Vanities better than anybody ever could back in 1969 when he did the movie Hi Mom with Robert De Niro. Yeah. All right, this little, like, you know, hippie kind of movie he did that hit on even better than Thomas Wolfe's book, exactly what he was talking about in that movie. So he didn't need to remake it. He didn't need to make it anymore. Yeah. Now, but the thing is also, again, going back to something Pauline Kael said about other filmmakers, is Bonfire of the Vanities is a mess. But it's the kind of mess that only a great filmmaker makes. Hacks never go that far wrong. It's like a very talented guy who's just got the wrong idea. It has to be a
genius who lost it.
Yeah,
or who went too far because he so believed in himself and he had the confidence.
Yeah, it's more like, it's just like he had a bunch of bad ideas and had the talent of his, and the truth of conviction of his bad ideas in that movie. All right, and I don't think he's lost it. I think he felt it hard.
I know he did, because he told me.
Yeah, I think he took it really hard, and he's been playing scrambling ever since. Right. All right, but
scrambling to find his footing again, which
scrambling to find his footing again, because
which is it confidence?
No, I don't know if it's confidence. I think it's more like the fact that I reached out with Bond. Well, he reached out with Casualties of War, and even though the film wasn't a success, got the best reviews of his entire career. Right. All right, so it's like, you know, so he'd reached out before, but then so he reached out even more with Bonfire, and it didn't work. And I think you see, when you look at the films he's been doing since, in the case of Raising Cain, all right, he goes, okay, I'm going to go back and do what I do, all right, my thrillers, all right, and that'll be a cool ground, all right. And the thing that's really fascinating about Raising Cain is you see a guy, and I told this to him, and he agreed with me. I don't know, I thought Raising Cain was a blast. I had a total blast out of watching it, but part of the fun about the movie, which I don't know if the studio liked it that much, was the fact that it's almost, the whole thing works to annoy the viewer, because it's like, you've got a man who, like, look, I created more or less in these last 20 years this type of film, all right, and I do it better than anybody, but you know what? I'm bored with doing it now. All right, so the only way I can make it interesting for me is to completely dissect it and not pay you off. Yeah. You know, so it became like this, like, really almost kind of like filmic experiment on how not to satisfy the audience. All right, which was very interesting to me. Okay, I got a big kick out of it.
If you had to name, I mean, I know you don't want to leave somebody out. Who's influenced you the most? Filmmakers. You said Howard Hawks.
Yeah, Howard Hawks is a gigantic influence.
Because?
Oh, well, he is the single, as far as for my money, he is the single greatest storyteller, all right, in the history of cinema.
The single greatest storyteller.
Yeah, and probably the single most entertaining filmmaker in the history of cinema. It's so funny because when you get into this, I mean, when you're talking about people who've, like, you know, worked for 30 years and have, like, you know, 25, 30, 40 films to show for it. You know, the old guys, the pioneers. Yeah. All right, when you go through their films and everything like that, you know, you're looking at this film and like, you know, oh, I never saw this one, and I never saw this one, that I really want to. And then, like, you start seeing some of their later works or some, like, early minor work that you'd always heard about but never saw it. You always are more or less kind of disappointed. It's like, you know, that's okay. It's good to see it so I can say I saw it and everything. Howard Hawks, except for one movie, never disappointed me. All right, it's like, you know, it's like even like his, you know, even the ones that didn't get any credit whatsoever, like the ones he did later in his life, so like something like Man's Favorite Sport, which is just basically this, like, kind of crazy paraphrased remake of Bringing Up Baby, is funny. Is it good as Bringing Up Baby? No, but it's, like, really good. It's really funny. Now, if I'm going to watch Bringing Up Baby or Man's Favorite Sport, I'll watch bringing a baby. But if Man's Favorite Sport's on TV, I'll watch it in 2 seconds. If it's playing at the theaters, I'll go see it.
Other than, okay, Howard Hawks, who else? A significant influence.
A big significant influence, okay, would be like Howard Hawks, the director Sam Fuller, all right, who's this like kind of he's one of the greatest wild men of cinema. He made a series of films in the 50s. He's probably the king of making war films because he fought in the Big Red One and everything,
Yeah.
and he makes really crazy movies. And he also made a lot of westerns and stuff. And Sam Fuller's just crazy style was a big influence to me. De Palma was a big influence to me. And one of the things about De Palma that people never talk about, and I think De Palma is probably the greatest black satirist of the last 20 years in cinema. I mean, his films are hysterical, biting black comedies. I mean, no one has his wit at all. Great. His wit is just fantastic. Even though he never makes official comedies. But like Scorsese's just daring. Yeah. Has always been a big influence to me. I usually never...
His daring.
Yeah. I usually never accredit him because everyone does it for me anyway. Right. I always say, well, he's obviously ripping off Scorsese.
Well, I don't say ripping off, but they do say influenced by De Palma and Scorsese.
Yeah. And Sergio Leone was a big influence
because of the spaghetti westerns?
Oh, definitely because of the spaghetti westerns. And also because of, like, one, he actually, he was like the first, director where when I started, like, really thinking about becoming a filmmaker, where I was like, wow, I mean, well, that's a director. That's a film that's
a director because...
Well, his films are so stylized. They're they are so directed. I mean,
you could watch that film and you knew who made it.
Yes, exactly. And you could even, like, watch the whole filmmaking process, I mean, if you're thinking along those lines, if you're just trying to watch an entertaining story, it's there. All right. And then also a major influence was Jean-Luc Godard. Has influenced me quite a bit.
That comes to European art film.
Yeah, exactly. Basically because his inventiveness and his breaking the rules and commenting on cinema while you're watching cinema. Yeah. Phony process shots in the background and stuff like that. The other thing also is there's a French director named Jean-Pierre Melville who came out in the 50s and basically started doing a whole series, and he was like a total entertainment director. He did a whole series of crime films, always set in Paris or Marseille or something, that were basically the Warner Brothers Bogart Cagney films, all right, but completely set to this French Parisian rhythm. And they started Alain Delon or Jean-Paul Belmondo,
Right.
And they're great. And they work very much in the same way that Sergio Leone's films do, where they take a genre that we know left, right, forwards, up and down and backwards. Yeah. All right, but they do it with a whole different style and a whole different perspective. And here they've basically reinvented the genre. They've created something new that didn't exist before. Now that's what I'm always kind of trying to do with my genre films. I don't know if I'm succeeding or not, but that's the attempt. To take something you've seen before, I love it, I respect it, and I'm going to deliver the goods. I'm not just going to be some arty guy going off, but I'm delivering the goods, but I'm also trying to, reinvent it in a way. All right, do something, do it in a much different way you've ever seen before. Like in the case of Reservoir Dogs. And again, it's not trying to just be a clever boy. It's not just a clever idea. It's got to work dramatically. All right, but do a heist film. Deliver the goods as a heist film, but it's a heist film when you never see the heist. That's just my goofy way of doing it. I always say, if I was going to do a Hunchback movie, the guy would have an operation at the beginning of the film. The guy used to be the Hunchback in Notre Dame.
How much credit to Harvey Keitel Reservoir Dogs? Did he have something to do with that being made?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's funny because that's one of those things that's it hasn't been blown out of proportion, but there were 3 people that were very, very instrumental, 4 people that were very instrumental in getting it made, and Harvey's one of the 4, but Harvey's the one that always got the credit for it. My partner Lawrence Bender deserves a tremendous amount of credit for it. He's a producer of the film. Monty Hellman, a wonderful filmmaker from the 60s who helped us with the film, he deserves a lot of credit. And so does one of the executive producers on the film, Richard Gladstein, who was the guy at the company, at Live Entertainment, that said, I'm going to take a chance on this kid. I really owe my career to him.
And he took a chance on you because of
the script. Because
of that script.
Because of that script.
Now, had he seen the same thing in True Romance? And
he had never read True Romance.